Okay, let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of I Hate Flying Monkeys. My name is Wacth, and I started this podcast because I really want to help people who have been victims of narcissistic abuse. But apart from helping them, apart from being like a self-help route that they can take, that they can listen to, I really just want to be somebody to validate that for those of you who resonate with what I'm saying, that you're not going crazy, that you do feel the things that you do and the symptoms that you experience because of the narcissistic abuse that you've been through, because you went through that abuse. You know your experience better than anybody else. So, in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how and why narcissists make you a victim of the world, but more so how narcissism, we don't usually talk about what happens when an empath goes out into the world and they're no longer in the four walls of their house or whatever confine they're usually stuck in with the narcissist. We don't usually talk about what happens when the narcissist is not necessarily there in person, but they're there in mind and spirit. And even when they're not there in mind and spirit, we don't talk about the kind of person that you become. Let's start with narcissism at home. When you're dealing with narcissists at home, as in where you sleep, this is how it affects you when you go out into the world. You go out into the world, you're constantly looking for people to take you in because you are emotionally homeless. You are emotionally homeless because at home, you are not able to act on your first emotional impulse. So when emotions come to you, you don't feel safe enough to express them because you know they're not going to be received with open ears. You know, it's like talking to a blank wall, a white wall, because you might as well be talking to a white wall when you were talking to a narcissist. So because of this, you are constantly looking for people to take you in. So when you go out into the world, you meet like really cool people that you really like, or maybe you want to make new friends, make new connections. You are reeking of desperation because you're eager for a home. You like the way they are. You like the vibes they give off because you don't get that at home. So when you go out there, you literally swing your door open. There is no vetting process. You're like, everybody come in, anyone come in. And it's off-putting because one thing you guys need to understand about people, and this is just an observation, this is not a dig, it's just for you guys to understand, people are less likely to offer you anything, whether that's friendship, whether that's, services, whether that's anything, if they feel like you don't have a home, unfortunately. So if you're emotionally homeless, they know that you are desperate and you're looking for anything and you will settle for anything. And it also affects how genuine you come across. If you're emotionally homeless, as the narcissist has made you so, you're not able to genuinely connect with people because you don't have any boundaries. And boundaries are a necessity when it comes to making new bonds, new friendships. Even if you're not outrightly like fighting people, from the get-go, you need to be able to effectively communicate the sort of person that you are, what you stand for. But when you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you feel like you don't stand for anything. And the other repercussion of narcissistic abuse is that you don't even believe that you deserve new bonds. You don't believe that you deserve to connect with people. So it's hard for you, unlike someone who's normal. People who are normal are able to go out and make connections, maybe not instantly for everyone, but they're able to make some connections because they know that there is a lid for every pot, and they are a pot, and they deserve a lid, right? So if you don't believe that you're worthy of friendships and connections, and you don't see it as a human right, then it will be really, really hard for you to go out there and genuinely connect with people, because the narcissist has dismantled your self-esteem. Okay, that's the other problem. Now, look, when it comes to being a victim, victimhood looks different for everybody. Victimhood looks different for everybody. So for some people, victimhood, because of the narcissist, when they go out into the world, could look like not being able to effectively communicate. Okay? So trying to make new connections, putting aside trying to make new friends, being able to effectively communicate is a real world skill that everybody needs to have. Being able to effectively communicate under pressure is another real world skill that everybody needs to have. But when you've gone through narcissistic abuse, your throat almost sorts of clamps up. You're not able to practice what it's like to speak under pressure. You're not able to practice what it's like to effectively communicate what you're saying. You're not able to practice and get into good habit of knowing when to speak. Okay? So you become really awkward. That is the other symptom of narcissism. When it comes to empaths, you become a really awkward person, and you think that that's just how you are. You think that you're just bullyable. You think that you are a victim. But no, it is a symptom. That's how the narcissist made you a victim of the world. Because you were never able to get a word in your arguments. You were never able to effectively state what they were doing to you and the ways that that affects you without them, intercepting to get their points across instead. Because of that, you end up being a horrible communicator. You're a horrible communicator. So when you go out into the world and you're not necessarily surrounded by narcissists, you find it really, really difficult to maintain a stable tone, a stable voice, to project your voice, to have discussions without getting super anxious. So that's the other way that narcissism affects your ability to not be a victim of the world. Because you walk around like a chronic victim, essentially, a chronic victim.